So first up, we're going to be checking out Uncle Dane's 1000 Uncles. I don't know what we're getting into on this one. I do know Uncle Dane because he's a TF2 creator who I've seen actually collab with the Spy Psychology series. And I've been told heavily that I would love his style and that he is the most engineer of engineers who ever engineered. And if that's wrong, it's because chat is deciding to screw with me again, which is entirely possible because that happens. Let's see where this goes. That music sounds familiar. Sounds Final Fantasy-ish. Oh yeah, these are the various maps you play on. I remember losing horribly in most of them. It's weird seeing them empty. You're going to walk in and find someone? Oh? First time we had motion was a door. He just pops in. What? Oh. Is this 1000 people playing all engineer with Uncle Dane skins? Oh. Oh, this is going to be unbalanced as hell. I love it. Oh. And they all have glowing heads, I realize, yeah. The particle effects alone, man. That's not 1000 yet, though. Wait, are you able to actually get 1000 players on a map on a 500 versus 500 format? Oh my god, this would absolutely destroy supercomputers. I love it. Please let it actually be that. Wait, oh, okay, it's an actual team here. Being smart, doing the thing. Oh, no, it's not even Dane on Dane. It's literally just an actual team versus Danes. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm going to be completely honest. If I walked in and just saw all of these turrets, I'd be like, well, okay. Yeah. I think we're just going to die at this point. Oh god, they actually played this? I thought this was just an animation he was doing for fun. They're actually playing the all Dane enemies. Oh my god. This isn't a matter of living or dying. This is a matter of sheer stubborn endurance. Like, it's AoE or nothing, man. You basically need the docked with invul. You don't build that up enough. Oh my god. How many docks can you put on one heavy? Oh. Why? I'm sorry. This is ridiculous. I absolutely love this. It's just all the Danes. I guess you could easily say it's just, oh yeah, it's a bunch of people getting healing on top of healing on top of healing. Would a spy even be able to get through on this thing? I mean, he might get a single kill and then all the turrets kill him. Oh my god. How? And the guy just taking the time to pose. 1000 uncles. How do you do this without your computer blowing up with all the particle effects from the guns? Incoming message from the real Uncle Dane.
That's right.
Oh my god, they went... Oh, they went full Nintendo on this one. That... Well played. Well played. That's... Miyamoto is Uncle Dane all along.
I made a game mode where you have to fight 1,000 of me. Maybe even more. Over the course of the last year and a half, this has been a side project that myself and a small team of developers have built
real
from
players
the
or just
ground up.
bots?
Why? Because funny. The progression of how this whole thing eventually came to exist.
This is ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. I absolutely love it. Also, I'm going to pull this comment up quickly. Comment crashed. Funny. Omega 1. Sorry I'm late. I had to be responsible adult for a bit of my life. Yeah, I hate doing that too. Anyways, I cast a miracle wizard! Okay, 1, I am not doing that voice again. It does not agree with my throat today, and I'm already feeling sick. 2, yes, I do want to do that because that's a freaking awesome series, man. Genesis, what's my opinion on the Game Awards? I mean, it's like most award shows. Someone buys the award and then they get handed to it later.
Is rooted in ancient TF2 lore, spaghetti code, and memes. I find it all pretty interesting, so that's what this video is going to be about. And the best part is that you, yes you, the viewer, are able to play this. You can test your resilience and determination against the army of uncles. But before you do that, stick around for a little while and just listen to the story of how 1,000 uncles were born.
I'm assuming this was born of a shit
post. Before any of the
post.
TF2 old heads leave a comment though, this idea, putting a bunch of engineer bots on red team for players to fight, is not an original concept.
Oh.
It's not my idea. I did not come up with it. This game mode.
Oh, so people have... You know what? No, never mind. That makes perfect sense. Going against hordes is literally the thing you do in any competitive game. But it is bots, though. That's actually the surprise part. I legitimately thought it would just be a bunch of people who's like, hey, it would be really funny. Let's play all Dane. I literally thought it'd be players doing it. Oh my god.
Mode is actually called Engineer Fortress, and I first played it over 7 years ago on a community server called...
How old does this one do? Okay, so it's only a year-old video, so that was only almost a decade ago. You know, in the 2010s. You ever say something that just physically pains you?
Nemus. Nemus was a relatively small but popular group of community servers that was, at first glance, a pretty standard
Steam.
TF2
Nice.
server. They ran a bunch of vanilla maps and it had a pretty consistent player base of regulars, but Nemus had a secret. If everyone in the server all joined spectator for just a few seconds, it would enable Engineer Fortress. It wasn't really a secret because everyone would always do this on the applicable maps, but it was something that was not exclusively focused on within Nemus, which is crazy to me because, man, Engineer Fortress was so much fun. Every human player was forced to join blue team, while the red team was filled to the brim with engineer bots, all with instant respawn, infinite metal, and an unshakable will to keep building sentry guns over and over and over again while we desperately continue.
Oh, they got rid of the balance. Infinite metal, infinite respawn. You're just going on timer. Oh. This actually sounds even more fun to me than playing TF2 normally. Because yeah, people are a lot harder to fight because they can be really stupid or really good. And usually both of those together is very hard to beat. But there's just something appealing to me against hordes of enemies running down on you can just mow through. Except these ones would mow through you because all the turrets. Which reminds me, I do need to play Darktide again.
Continued to destroy them. Blue team also had a short respawn timer and we were allowed to build teleporters in the spawn room, but otherwise making it past this unyielding wall of buildings was something that required a unique combo of patience, positioning, and coordination that was unlike anything that I had ever played in TF2. It was awesome. Over the years, I occasionally joined Nemu specifically to play Engineer Fortress, which is weird to me because I don't know if you guys know this about me, but when it comes to TF2 and most video games for that matter, I am generally not a big fan of the modded gaming experience. Not to say that I don't love mods. I use mods.
See, I've been watching so much Ish lately. I'm just looking at this going, this looks very low key. I've seen mods on Minecraft that make it look like a completely different game, honestly.
In almost every game that I play for an extended period of time, but these are almost always exclusively quality of life or cosmetic mods that are client side and only serve to tweak the experience instead of vastly alter it from the developer's intentions.
Oh, they modded it so they'd actually have usable maps or like interfaces. I've tried using the interface they have on the base game. I get why you want to mod that.
You could argue that a custom TF2 HUD is a quality of life mod, for example, but I've never really been a fan of mods that basically change the base game to be something else. No.
I mean, I've played Skyrim, man. Everyone plays that game. It's like, oh, that's cool. But after a decade, the mods are a better game than the actual one. I did try and play the entire version of Skyrim that was basically, they stole the source code for Elden Ring combat, fixed it into Skyrim, and then added their revamps of magic. And I fucked it up every time, and I gave up trying to mod it in because I saw it could work, but I could never figure out how to make it work. Yeah, but it looked cool. So I'll butcher and, fuck around with things infinitely.
Offense to the people who create or play these modded
Is that an umbrella?
experiences, but
That's an umbrella.
historically, they have never really interested me. I am a vanilla plus boy through and through, with the exception of Engineer Fortress. This mode was always the asterisk when it came to TF2 mods for me. It was just so incredibly well designed and conceptualized that I have always regarded it as the best modded TF2 experience out there. I mean, it definitely helps that the base experience, more or less, is still like 95% TF2, if you think about it. I mean, it would be technically possible for this to still happen in a casual mode game. Unlikely, nightmarish to imagine, but still possible. Anyway, eventually I learned that Nemu's was founded and maintained by a man who goes by the name Jill on Steam. Yes, that's right, that Jill. The Valve employee and TF2 developer Jill. Cool beans, Jill. Neato.
Oh, so this is literally one step removed from being an official game server then. That's actually kind of awesome.
Oh, Jill, remember Nito? This guy's been one of the main TF2 developers since like 2012, but before he was hired at Valve to work on TF2, he founded and was the main administrator of Nemu's community server.
Oh, that's actually even cooler. It's someone who did such a good job just fucking around with their source code that they did it officially later. If this was not brought up in the hiring criteria, I'm going to be very surprised. Also, I'd be surprised to find out in the first place because that would be weird. Details. Also being told that Bethesda games are seed beds for their mods, at least nowadays. I would disagree, if only because I don't think Bethesda knows or understands that, because the modding scene for Starfield is shit. Because it's not a game you can really mod. Also, no one really wants to play Starfield because it's absolutely shit, and calling it an AI slop would be an upgrade because it's not that good.
Which he started back in like 2008 or 2009. I mean, this all goes back like 15 years, so the history starts to get a little bit more blurry the further back you go, but even asking Nemu's veterans from way back then, Jill's role in maintaining the servers was more or less a mystery. All it could really be confidently said is that he created the servers and most likely paid the bills, but I couldn't find anyone who could confirm or deny to me that Jill was the one who created Engineer Fortress.
Would not even matter.
True, that would set a pretty hilarious precedent for this mode, right? Dude creates an awesome TF2 server with a mod where you fight a bunch of engineers, gets hired by Valve because of how awesome it is. But yeah, Engineer Fortress had remained my go-to TF2 mod of choice for many years. It's kind of like MVM, except blue team is the bots and the red team is also the bots, but we're attacking and they're defending, which is the opposite of MVM. You get it. It was good, clean, chaotic.
I don't get
TF2 fun is the point. Until one.
Oh, man versus machine. Oh, okay, never mind. Now I get it. Genesis, I have not seen the Fallout show. I've heard mixed reviews about it. Well done, well put together. Some people don't like the storyline, but I think that's fitting for Bethesda just because every new thing needs to shit on the previous storylines in some way, shape, or form. It's one of the few reasons that 76 might actually be an upside. It shit on itself so hard it didn't fuck over anyone else in the process. Also, Croc, I'm going to pull this up quickly. There's a mod scene for Starfield. Also, they are so supportive to modders that when Oblivion Remaster was released, devs of Sky Oblivion got free copies. I've actually heard about that one. It's one of the reasons I did get Starfield in the first place. And then I played it. Yeah, they made space boring. They made spaceflight boring. They made it a map. They just move through. You still can't seem to pull up correctly.
Day, Nemu's was gone. A little over 3 years ago, Nemu's went offline one day after an update and never came back. It's pretty standard for a TF2 server to go offline for a few hours after Valve pushes a patch so the server admin can update the server to the current version of the game, but Nemu's just didn't update. Nobody could connect to it anymore, and eventually the IP just wasn't accessible. So out of nowhere, Nemu's was just gone. Not even the admins knew why, and Jill was radio silent, as Valve employees tend to be. But considering Nemu's had been a project that he maintained since before he got hired at Valve, and had been maintaining long after he had started working on TF2 itself, Nemu's regulars found it odd that it would just go offline without any kind of announcement or
That does actually indicate that someone might have found out that he was doing off-scene work. Some companies have rules for that, if only because radio silence mixed with sudden stops of behavior, as long as they weren't fired, that would almost indicate that something happened on the NDA side. It's only speculation, but usually radio silence accompanied with sudden changes means something happened that you're not allowed to be aware of.
Explanation for its player base. But regardless of why this sudden shutdown happened, the most devastating thing to me was that Engineer Fortress was also gone. Nemu's was the only server that ran anything like it, so it had just become unplayable overnight. I was disappointed by this, but hey, you know, what can you do?
I do wonder if Man vs. Machine mode was coming out roughly around the same time or after the server went down. I don't know nearly enough about timelines. For all I know, it had been out for a while prior. I just don't know.
Actually, yeah, what can I do? I started thinking to myself. I am a server owner now. I created Uncletopia in 2020. I have a place where Engineer Fortress...
2020, that was so recently. I mean, we're only in 2020 part 6. Yeah, feels like it sometimes.
And it makes sense, right? I am the TF2 engineer guide to a lot of people. It wouldn't be super out of the ordinary for, oh my god, what if all of the engineers are wearing the Uncle Dane cosmetics and they'd all be named like variations of Uncle Dane, like Uncle Pain and Uncle Brain, like those memes that people always, oh my god. Shit. This is perfect. Okay, so you see how I got there? At this point, though,
Memes
all I
are
had was
perfect.
the idea. Recreate Engineer Fortress on Uncletopia, but with an Uncle Dane theme and maybe some other tweaks to make it more challenging or interesting.
But
But
how much
here's the
actual
problem.
coding he
I don't know
knows.
how to do that. I literally can't code. I can make a pretty dope MySpace page with some HTML, and I can organize my TF2 auto exec, but I don't know the first thing.
I'll be honest, he knows way more coding than I do because auto exactions, that part right there, no. Also HTML code, fuck that shit, man. I took a class on this. I learned just enough to realize I'm okay with not learning more. It's freaking magic, man.
About making anything work using
Blood
source mod,
sacrifices
which
and
is
everything.
the primary framework in which most TF2 mods and plugins are created. So instantly, I asked for help. I put out a thing on Twitter asking if anyone who is fluent in source mod would be willing to help me develop a plugin. The same day, I got a message from Moonly Days, who's had a lot of experience making things with TF Connect and recently did a bunch of web dev stuff for the fixed TF2 movement. He fit the bill and was eager to help, so I sent him this exact pitch. This is a custom PvE game mode along the lines of Man vs. Machine. But instead of playing exclusively defense, the human players are exclusively on offense. All maps will be either payload or attack defend. The bots are only assigned the engineer class. Both teams have instant respawn. The blue team will comprise of up to 24 human players, and the red team will comprise 24
So they're keeping the
engineer
same amount
bots.
of enemies.
Now,
then.
I don't
Okay.
know how I got it into my head that it could be 24 versus 24. It had been a while since I'd played Nemu's Engineer Fortress, and I think I'd incorrectly remembered there being a lot more players and bots. Anyway, Moonly told me that he was totally down to make this idea happen, except for one small problem. TF2 is hard-coded to only allow 32 players max on one server, and TF bots count towards that number, so it would have to be 16 versus 16. In my head, this sounded like a lower number than I would have preferred, but
How far does he take this? Like, we saw tons of people way more than 16 versus 16 in the initial animation. Did he just create his own actual full-on server for this?
those are the unchangeable limitations, so I had no choice but to go with it. But within just 3 hours of me sending this outline to Moonly, he had the super bare-bones functioning version of the idea. So I came up
Seriously?
with this basic
Holy
rule
shit.
set, and we did our very first beta test on a private server that I invited people to join via Twitter. This first test was a shit show, as you might expect. A lot of stuff was broken, mostly due to things conflicting with existing Uncletopia configs like class limits, which forced a lot of the bots to pick other classes, but still retain the Uncle Dane cosmetics.
Oh, wow. I think we have seen Chemo Dane. There ain't nothing left but skin and bones and a nice trilby hat.
Truly horrifying, but there was some wild shit like if you tried to join the red team, it would make blue team sentry guns hostile towards you, which is pretty funny. Dust Bowl didn't work properly. The infinite timer made it so that we were stuck in setup after stage 1. There was a lot of editing to be done on the plugin side as expected, but the main takeaway that I got from this first playtest was just that it was too easy. was just really easy to win.
They're actually just unable to even get out. They're just stuck. Oh my god.
Yeah.
This spawn camp is unethical.
Blue team completely crushed the uncles. It was no contest. Any amount of focus fire from any one player made short work of any sentry gun, and then the uncles were just toast after that. So while Moonly worked on fixing all of the issues that we found with,
I'm actually a little surprised about that. I legitimately thought that the problem would be that infinite ammo from infinite. It's not infinite though. Because if you're capping it at 16, it would be a max of 16 guns, and not all of them are building guns at the same time, even if they have infinite supplies. And this one might not have had infinite supplies. So it's nests that take a lot of AoE, huh?
in the plugin code, and Roto, the head admin of Uncletopia, removed all of the conflicting plugins that were breaking it before, like Vote Scramble, because yes, players figured out that you could scramble teams, and it completely ruined the entire game, as you could imagine.
Oh, God.
But I got to work on coming up with ideas for how to make it more difficult. First off, we set the bot difficulty to 3, which is the highest difficulty that the TF bots go to. During our playtest, they were set to difficulty 1, which made it so that they pretty much completely ignored spies and hardly ever did anything to defend themselves when attacked. This is something that I wanted to do from the very beginning, but when we forgot, oopsies, we also lowered the...
So the bots can actually be reasonably savvy? See, this is one of the few times where I'd actually like to see what an AI script would do for some of these. Mostly because I don't think it would be better. I just think it would be weirder, and that would be funny to watch.
Human team count from 16 to 12. I also wanted to
like
do
that,
this
blowing
because
yourself
I could
up.
join spectator now and watch the chaos from above. We also set the uncle's respawn time from being instant to being truly instant. Now, what that means is normally when a server has quote-unquote instant respawn, it's actually more like a 3-second respawn, because after you die, you see this kill cam before you respawn again. True instant would be to respawn the moment your health reaches 0, which is what the uncles now do because they're bots. What are they going to do with a kill cam? So essentially, when you kill an uncle, you're
So even though both sides have really fast, the uncles are infinite and instant, but you actually do have the kill cam still. Oh.
not so much killing them as much as you're just
It's
teleporting
not a
them
big
back into
change,
their
but gives them a
spawn
little
zone. Meanwhile,
advantage.
though, because kill cams are funny, blue team still has the normal version of the instant respawn. They
Yeah.
also had to come up with the name for this whole thing. I mean, it didn't really feel right just calling it Engineer Fortress, since this was something that we were making specifically for Uncletopia. So here are the names that I considered before I landed on 1,000 Uncles.
Wait, what were the other ones? Versus Uncle Dane. Man versus Uncle. Uncle Dane Army. 1,000 Uncles. Honestly, Man versus Uncle sounds pretty awesome to me.
Playtests after that all went significantly smoother, and the
Also, he is a much more savvy person than I am, because I would have definitely made a few jokes about how to put it. I was like, having private time with your uncle. Or, uncle wants to build up an erect device. It would be nothing but horrible sex puns. The more disturbing, the better, and I would have absolutely no shame about it, because if I'm not making someone groan horribly, I feel like my life is not having meaning, which is probably why I do a YouTube, actually, now I think about it. Nice.
Uncles were considerably harder to beat due to the myriad of buffs that we gave them over the course of the next few days of testing. In particular, buffing their wrenches to just be overall better at everything was a big factor in balancing them to be tougher to get past. Essentially,
So
these
they're not
changes
just doing-
made it so only one human player will not be able to out-damage a sentry gun being healed by an uncle. It will require either a demo man to place a bunch of stickies under it, or for 2 or more players to focus fire the gun to take it out, which encourages teamwork to progress. We
So they basically just kept buffing the uncles until their play pattern worked well. Okay.
also gave the uncles a base health of 185, which effectively makes them overhealed and makes them a bit tougher to kill even when they don't have their sentry guns. For spies in particular, the bots being set to difficulty 3 makes it so they have a 90% chance to notice your eternal reward stabs within 500 hammer units, which means that if you stab too many uncles within a big group of them, they will notice and they will attack you if they aren't preoccupied with their buildings.
They're all like glancing at me.
They're suspicious of you for sure.
This is so scary.
Uh-oh.
Oh shit! No, no! I touched them.
There's so many of them. Like, I don't even know how a spy can get around, because there's just so many infinitely spawning in. You're better off just sitting back and just stabbing them as they walk through and hoping you just kill them all and then letting yourself die, because there's almost no other way to do that.
Spy touched me! We also gave them 2
And honestly, killing them at the spawn doesn't really help, because they're still just going to have infinite immediate respawns.
New weapons, the Widowmaker
does change
and
how
the
that game
Frontier
even
Justice,
works.
which have a 33% chance to be equipped in addition to the stock shotgun, and a little fun Easter egg that we gave them a 1% chance to equip the Golden Pan. A strange thing about the TF bot coding, though, is that they absolutely refuse to switch to their secondary, and will only do so if their primary weapon runs out of ammo, which practically never happens. So unfortunately, pistol-slinging uncles is an extremely rare sight. But they also are just too stupid to be able to use the Wrangler or Short Circuit anyway. But I mean, could you imagine? That would be so horrible. I wish they could. We also got rid of the unusual.
I wonder if you actually could find a way to code it so they would have a few that would drop in at a better moment. Like, not just having that 1% chance of it, but like a completely separate bot on a random spawn chance that happens to use the same skin, that happens to use the same class, but their combat profile is based around going in as a gunslinger instead. Huh.
Effect for a playtest to see how much it would affect server performance, but it turns out it doesn't really help all that much. Apparently, unusual effects aren't even processed by the server anyway. It's all client-side, and it's not that impactful. And besides, I think the unusual effect actually helps with visibility on darker parts of certain maps, so we added it back for the next tests. Except Moonly said it to be Disco Beatdown instead of Miami Nights, which is not the right effect. It's Miami Nights. Apparently, they are very similarly named in the game files. We gave them all kill streak weapons because funny. We gave them a 100% chance to taunt after killing someone because funny. All talk is enabled so that the bots can hear us shit talking them. Halloween is enabled because funny.
Wait. Is there actual bot recognition of sound on this? Because that would even be more awesome. It's a stupid thing, but I would laugh on my ass on that.
The timer is not only disabled, but now it counts up instead of down.
Counting how long you've played.
How long you've been banging your head against the endless wall of uncles and ask yourself what you've been doing with your life.
How many uncles is that? I mean, it's not just the uncles, it's some of the uncles' guns and sentries. Dear God, man.
The playtests that we did with all of these changes were hands down the most illuminating and challenging trials for my closeted game developer brain. But the biggest takeaway from subjecting my subscribers to 1,000 Uncles was that everyone was having a blast.
Get it. Oh my fucking God.
You're so fucked.
He managed to get out, though. Oh, no, never mind.
People were reacting strongly to the chaos at first, especially since I never explicitly told anyone what they were joining when I linked the server IP.
Looking at the server browser and I see the name of the server, I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Oh my God.
Yeah, last is something else.
No, I'm just looking at this through the grate. This is the worst thing I've ever seen.
But eventually, they began strategizing and coordinating with each other to try and beat it.
You gotta use the lock-in mode here.
I think the extra pipe and clip is better.
Honestly, the spy strap worked pretty well.
Spy strap?
You don't have to be
With a longer range.
It was super addicting to watch these matches and see people fail and succeed in many creative ways that I had never even considered.
I'm going to be completely honest. This actually looks fun. Like, unironically, I kind of want to do this because I like PvE events. I like when you're bashing your head against odds that you will eventually win, but you have to find the way to do it. And also where immediate sudden death that means you have to restart completely is gone. Way too many bad experiences with that in Destiny. Not because I was good. No, that's not the case. More because my connection was... Yeah, I usually say I was never fighting the game. I was fighting my ability to play the game.
I was super happy with the progress that this plugin had made in only a couple weeks.
A couple weeks? Hey, warning, connection problems. Oh, they're disconnecting. Or are disconnecting. Yeah.
Except for this. This stupid error was, and has been, the final boss of making this plugin work.
A dead man destroys like 15 sentries at once and crashes the server.
What this means when it pops up is that the edict limit has been reached and the server instantly crashes. What the hell is an edict? An edict? There are dicks in my game and apparently the limit has been reached? What are you talking about? And
This is why you can't have too many dicks in one room. There's a joke in there, but I'm not going to nearly brothel that way up.
Edict is basically an object, and TF2 can only handle so many objects at the same time. 2048 objects, to be exact. If there are more than 2048 objects existing at the same time for even a split second in TF2, the game
It's probably particle effects from the machines being broken, isn't it?
crashes, and everybody is sad. So what counts as an object in TF2? Pretty much everything. I mean, map elements, players, weapons, hats, projectiles, doors opening, facial animations, anything that needs
The
to be synced
animations
across
count?
the internet to everyone's computer, basically. That's an object in this context. Shunic has made a few videos about this. You should check those out if you're interested in the details, but for the purpose of 1,000 uncles functioning properly, the object limit is something that we needed to be constantly aware of and always planning around, because we have...
He's running into the object limit before having the full, oh my god, why are there so many limit of Danes? Oh
a
god.
pretty low ceiling compared to your average casual mode game. The map is usually the baseline. Most vanilla payload maps have a default of around 700 to 800 objects right off the bat. The smaller maps, like the 2-point attack defend ones, can get down to like 400, but the bigger ones, like the 3-stage payload maps, sit at around 1100, which is already half the object limit right off the bat.
And that's
with
without
no
players or
on
all
it.
the artifacts.
Players typically count for around 10 objects each if they're wearing a full set of cosmetics. So a full server of 32 players, where more than half of them are building a sentry, a dispenser, and teleporter each, that's another 400 or 500 objects. So by default, we're sitting at around 1,500 objects.
That's a few more than 16. Yeah.
If nothing happens. But when stuff does start happening, like people start firing stickies and rockets and blowing buildings
Then
up
each
that
one of those would be
split up
another
into
one.
5 pieces of metal each, people dropping their weapons on the ground, ragdolls flying everywhere, it's just object mania, and all it takes is for a demo man to detonate their 14 Scottish resistant sticky bombs underneath a cluster of 10 engineer nests to create a huge spike in objects for 1 second.
Just raise object limit on 100 player server. Are they stupid? Yeah.
To crash the server. The main way that this usually happened, though, is at the end of the round when there were a bunch of uncles infinitely respawning while people killed them repeatedly with crits, which I ended up calling the Uncle Massacre.
My game's gonna crash!
The good news is these crashes due to the object limit only regularly happened on maps where the default object count is higher than average.
So there's a way to beat the uncles back so far that they insta-die in spawn. That, I mean, that's a lot of pushing at that point. And there, you're not playing the game anymore. You're punishing the AI for getting against you.
Such as on Gold Rush in Egypt, and luckily there was a pretty simple way to deal with
One sec. Sorry about that. Still a little sick.
this issue outright. We used a plugin that just quickly deletes excess objects if the amount of them in existence starts to creep too close to that 2048 limit. This doesn't outright prevent crashing, since a huge spike is something that
Edict limiter nuke 20 entities. So it might actually get to the point where it's just the particle effects that are going away, but it could also accidentally delete player models, or well, it probably prioritizes all of the particle effects themselves first. So bullets in the air that have travel time, the explosion residue, things thrown on the ground, dead bodies before they ragdoll. I wonder at what point that is dealable.
that can't really be mitigated in time, but it definitely helped a lot early on, if anything, just to help with client-side lag. Disabling the Uncle Massacre also helped a lot, even though it was awesome. Sad to see that go. In particular, turning off the Halloween souls, though, did wonders for reducing the object count and helping with the overall
Because every single one of those would be a different particle effect based on each different person.
visual clutter. They don't really have souls anyway. After we implemented these changes, we rarely saw crashes again. However, the battle with the object limit was far from over. At this point, though, the hard part was done. The plugin functioned as intended, and there
Well, it
were
doesn't have
only
an
a
object
handful
limit.
of
I'll
specific
probably just
changes
keep it
we
from
wanted to make
slowing
from
down
this
too
point
much.
on. So we gave 1,000 uncles a permanent home on 4 public Uncletopia servers, 2 in North America and 2 in Europe, and just kind of let them exist. Because it was essentially a beta build of what I would call a feature-complete version, I refrained from ever officially telling people about it. Due to it mostly being on the Uncletopia server list, it still filled up from time to time, but mostly with people who didn't fully understand what it was or why it even existed, which honestly was endlessly entertaining for me to witness.
Has he not made a video about this already? No.
Wait. has he just randomly gone in and watched people while spectating and have them just die for his pleasure? Oh my god, that's sociopathic. I love it.
Oh, he hasn't. And what is it? I don't know.
In a way, the mystery of why this even was a thing at all added to the humor of
Oh
it for
my
a lot
God.
of people, so I just kind of went with it.
Both me and my buddy Sam read this as the server name instead of the game mode. Like, there was no way in hell we would have expected there to be a game mode where you try to push the cart while being simultaneously beat on by hundreds of Uncle Danes. I don't know who
Only
came up
hundreds.
with this or why they came up with this. I can only assume it was that bastard Uncle Dane himself.
But after it was released to the public to
Yeah.
stumble upon randomly and try for themselves, we mostly just wrestled with bug fixing and smaller balance changes, mostly just to optimize the player experience. One big one ended up being the removal of a spectator, because while I personally love to spectate, the limited team size made it so anyone who joined after the blue team was full, which was something that was difficult to discern from the join page, were stuck in spectator mode until someone on blue team left. And
So you could have a ton of people just watching around, and does that count as an object then as well?
I suppose it's unsurprising to see that people who join a server only to be denied the ability to play the game were not happy about it. So we just got rid of
Yeah.
the ability for people to join spectator, and I was able to do it by just using an admin command. Eventually down the line, we figured out a way for spectator to exist harmoniously with the player account, but for now, it was removed. But the
What was the fix? Ooh, also, Croc, I'm going to pull up your comment. Your best guess is fixed size array of edicts, and when you get more of them, the game calls index out of range, which depending on language either... so it's a coding language issue. Yeah, I know just enough about programming to realize I don't know enough about programming to say more than I have run into issues when I was trying to do modding, because if you ran into certain issues with code sizes, it would start causing conflicts just based on the amount of loads before you can get to actual functions itself. I'm not entirely sure if it's the same thing, but I saw similar buildups.
reason that I bring this up is that we had extra slots available that previously belonged to the spectator team, and we had the opportunity to give either the humans or the uncles 4 extra team members. I think you can guess where those slots were allocated. So from that point on, the teams were officially 12 versus 20. Now, after this video, I imagine that some of you are going to go and play on one of the servers and see the madness for yourself, and I imagine that some of you are going to join and say, holy God, my frames, where did they go? Well, the unfortunate truth of this experiment is no matter how much I try and optimize the performance of this game mode, I cannot guarantee that your PC will allow you to comfortably play on a server with 1,500 entities on it.
So even though a lot of it is handled client side, it is also heavily processed on PC side or local. I mean, I'd like to say I could do that, but I tried hosting, and while it worked for a few minutes, we didn't play long because it did crash a few times on me. And I got a 4090 in here, man. Yeah, it makes editing 5 hours worth of videos only take about 30 minutes, and I don't mind that. It's very nice. But if I'm having trouble, anyone with an actual reasonable PC that a normal person would use, this would probably legitimately burn.
At any given moment.
I mean that figuratively. I mean, like, literally get a fire
Red
extinguisher,
Magic's
man.
Titan 16 Pro gaming laptop. Now, I know
Nothing wrong with that, but just I don't like gaming laptops in general, because at this point, some of the mini PCs are better. Hell, some of the handhelds are better. Mostly because there's an issue with overheating sometimes and burning people's legs. It's a issue I'm hyper aware of just because it happened and I hated it.
I know it's a lot to suggest that you get an entire computer in order to play my dumb uncle mode, but that's not what I'm suggesting. I'm saying that there's definitely still
Usually
a bunch
more
of you out
expensive
there
for less
trying
good.
to play Team Fortress 2 casual mode vanilla 12v12 2 for it at an average of 40 frames per second. And I think it's time that you threw in the towel and admitted to yourself that you deserve more than that. So this thing
That actually was hard to watch.
is honestly pretty stacked as far as specs go. I'm not exactly Linus Tech Tips when it comes to PCs, but I can tell you that an Intel i9 CPU is really good. A GeForce RTX 4060 is really good. I mean, I don't even have a 40 series.
I mean, yeah, 40 series is good. The i9s from Intel, they're great until they catch on fire. I don't mean that figuratively. I mean, it was mostly the 40 series graphics cards that literally caught on fire because of the plugs, and then the 50 series did that again. And at least when it happened on the GPUs, it's because Actually, I think there was a literal fire. I think Gamers Nexus caught that on video. Yeah, they had issues. Go 12th series, get a 12900K. They're old, they're not made, they're more powerful than anything that was made after them that doesn't break itself. Yeah. Also, it's cheaper to buy those than RAM or memory at this point, so you might as well get it.
Is my main game.
Ooh, also, King Dragon, I'm going to pull up your comment quickly. One, thank you very much. Two, hey, Airier, how was your day? Also, two, of Curious Archives, to kill a sacred worm. I know that was recommended yesterday as well. I think by you and maybe someone else as well.
PC, but for me, the most important aspect is the 2K res display at 240 hertz, because a lot of people over the years have asked me, Uncle Dane, how do I get better at Engineer? How do I get better at TF2? And I've answered this in so many different ways in so many different videos, but I've always left out a big secret. Playing at a high frame rate on a display that can show you those frames. I'm not even kidding when I say that I saw a legitimate increase in my own skill when I upgraded to a 144 hertz monitor and the red.
Okay, full disclosure. Oh no, Croc, RAM is memory. No, I mean like actual RAM sticks versus the actual sticks of memory. They're either, actually not even the sticks, both hard drives and SNV or NVMS. I cannot remember the names of them. It's the abbreviation I cannot remember. Not random access memory, but the actual hard storage, solid state drives. There we go. And hard drives. All of that has shot up in price. So that's what I was talking about. When it comes to frames per second, though, or FPS, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to disagree with Dane on this one. You don't get better. You just know that you can see where you're at. Your skill is just going to catch up to being able to see what you're getting as a response. If you're like me and you suck, I'm going to suck at as much at 40 frames a second as I do at 120 frames a second. Yeah. SSD, Martin? Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. I will say, though, if you do ever jump from maybe 60 frames a second to the ungodly highs of 120 plus, or one time I got my computer to do it 240, because Zenless Zone Zero has uncapped frame rates. And if you have a computer that can frankly do absurd things already, turning on frame gen at the ridiculous settings, it's a win more button, so you can get it looking so buttery smooth that it's the same as looking at things in IRL. It's that smooth, and it's kind of brilliant. Oddly enough, it's one of the reasons people still use the old tube arrays, because they don't have frame rates. They just show you an image immediately. They're not as good. They're big, they're blocky, and they're kind of ugly and heavy, and they could fall over and hurt someone. But they do have immediately high FPS equivalents. It's why people still use them.
Magic Titan 16 Pro has one that goes up to 240. So again, this is not even a joke. I really do believe that if you see more frames, you can react to things happening way better in any game. That might.
I still think that's more just you have the skill to take advantage of it, and you have to have that skill to take advantage of it. So having it and knowing you could use it are very different.
Not even be an opinion. That's probably just science. So I suggest no matter what you're deciding to do in TF2, whether you check out
although if you go low enough, it does actually hurt your performance.
If you're just trying to casually frag
between
out
60
on
and
upward,
120, you won't see a difference. It'll just look pretty.
With the Red Magic Titan 16
under
Pro.
30 though, yeah, you do notice it.
Considering just how high quality this thing is.
Okay, I was going to say, oh god, that's so expensive, but because of RAM prices, SSD prices, hard drive prices, all memory prices jumping through the roof, because OpenAI bought all of the stock from one of the 3 companies that makes it. This price is probably at least $1,000 cheaper than it would be right now. At least.
So if you want to take advantage of a great deal and support the channel by extension, as well as keep the Uncle Topia servers online, you know, they cost a lot of money, check out Red Magic by clicking the link in the description below. Thanks so much to Red Magic.
Also, I'm just being reminded that I got in very lucky, because that's how much my graphics card cost when I bought it. Which sounds like a lot, and it is. It was a significant amount of saving to be able to afford it, but also I purchased all the parts for my PC over an entire year of buying things on sale, so it kind of worked out. Also worked out for me because it was right after the GPU crash in prices happened, and right before the AI jump in prices happened. They were previously overstocked and oversold for people in crypto farms. But when that crashed, the prices actually kind of went down a ton. I know for a fact my graphics card is now probably worth more than the rest of my PC, except for the SSD cards, which might be worth more than my graphics cards now. Cards. No, there's only one card. I know you can run SLI still, but I don't know how to do it. I'm not going to try.
For sponsoring this video. Observing from my spectator throne and playing the mode myself for many weeks after this, I got to fully witness and appreciate all of the creative and funny things that people try and do in order to win a round of 1,000 Uncles. The most volatile and chaotic strategy that I see attempted all the time is spawn.
No. Okay, I know he's going to say spawn, but one of them, please tell me one of them is just infinite demo man. Like you have a bunch of heavies, not heavies. You get a bunch of medics healing the same guy. He runs in and just immediately starts blowing everyone up point blank. Actually, at that point, would flames be any better against buildings? Or are they weaker?
Now, if you can manage to get an engineer behind them that can set up a teleporter and a base at their spawn, you can pretty much effectively keep a good amount of them in spawn for a little.
Oh, also, Tutor, if you're looking for a PC to do e-work, honestly, the Mac Mini is a pretty decent option. I don't like Macs. I'm heavily biased against them. I'm not a big fan. I can't stand the design. The unbuilt up Mac Mini is cheap right now, and if the price didn't go up horribly, it's not a bad option. Other than that, get a tablet. They're kind of fine. It's probably better than most PCs if you haven't bought one in 5 years. Not a good option, but it's better than a desktop. Unless you need specific things, then yeah.
The issue, however, starts to compound after enough of them build up inside of it, and it eventually becomes so overwhelming that the Uncles breach containment.
Oh god, it's SCP Uncles.
Oh god, they're breaching!
There is probably an SCP Uncle Dane now. I need to find this.
So the spawn camp strategy only really works when there are enough players.
Oh, Tutor, you're doing AutoCAD? Yeah, no, you're screwed, man. I am so sorry. I've actually looked into that for some of the design work I've thought about doing and then realized I don't have the time to learn to do it correctly. Yeah, no, you're screwed. Everything you need is going to be hyper expensive. I am so sorry. The best thing you could do is maybe try and find something last gen. And even then, they probably know if they're able to sell it that it's going to cost way more than they bought it for. I'm so sorry, man.
To stop them from leaving spawn, but that also leaves fewer people to destroy the sentries and kill the Uncles that are guarding the objective. It's just a slippery strategy that can take a long time to set up, but only seconds to fail.
Wait, would you be able to do Uncle on Uncle combat? The incestoning. Like if you set up enough sentries at the entryway that if you ever manage to get them down, they auto die as soon as they leave the safe zone. Oh. I don't know.
It's very funny to watch. Another strategy, though, that I am considerably less approving of is back capping, because a lot of the viable maps for this mode are attack defend maps with multiple points. People will often go spy and wait on the second point until the first point is capped so they can easily capture second before the Uncles have enough time to build anything. Now, back capping is just a part of the game and is a legitimate strategy in a normal match of TF2, but I personally just don't think that it's nearly as fun when half of the map is suddenly over before you get a chance to play it properly. Because the point of 1,000 Uncles is overcoming a ridiculous number of engineer bots and backcapping ROMs players of that experience. But at the time, I didn't think that there was really anything that I could do about it except to let people know that it's just not all that fun to do that.
So here's the thing. I don't know enough for the logo. I'm assuming backcap is more just sitting around in the back, waiting and camping until you need it, and then auto capturing it because you're already there. I could be wrong. Also, did you mention you're actually waiting for the holiday sales? Your bros in IT shows a lot about tricks, the best prices, and the guy acquires free version of AutoCAD. Yeah, that works. Honestly, though, good luck, man.
At this point in the journey, though, I was overall super satisfied with the 1,000 Uncles. I mean, there were still a handful of ideas that I had knocking around to optimize it or make it a little bit more interesting, but I had basically thought of the plugin
he just kills them all.
Pretty much finished. Up until then, it had been a side project that I had cobbled into existence out of my sheer desire.
Only then it was a side project. So this is something he was still just working on part-time right now. What happen later.
But it had proved to be such an interesting experience
Oh.
that I was planning on making a video about it to let people know that, if they so choose, they can join a server and fight an infinite army of Uncle Danes. So I began collecting footage and drafting out an outline for a said video when suddenly, with no warning, something happened.
What?
Thanks.
Epic Gaben moment? Wait. What? A mandatory update for... It probably broke it. Oh. Oh, they updated it? I wasn't even aware of that. Oh, also, Blacklight's up. Thanks for dropping in. Oh, that is a thing. Oh, yes. That's full on 50 on 50, man.
Out of nowhere, Valve randomly dropped this incredible
I thought they would break it, but no.
They increased the player limit, and boy, did they increase it. They
take it
raised
higher?
it from 32 to 100. It was almost as if Valve knew exactly what I had wanted from the very beginning of developing.
They actually
1000
might
Uncles.
have.
In my mind, the amount of uncles on the red team, while ridiculously numerous already at 20, had always felt a bit smaller than I had envisioned. Immediately, the possibility for what 1,000 uncles could now be with just this one.
And it doesn't have to be 50 versus 50. Oh. He could skew the teams like 70 versus 30.
Change expanded overnight. Instantly, just to see what would happen, we doubled the size of both teams. 24
Not bad.
human players versus 40 uncles. Why
Yeah.
not? I was emboldened to try this because pretty much right away, it was made clear that TF2, with a generous amount of optimization plugins and server power, could actually handle up to 100 players on the same server, as crazy as that may seem. According to the testing that people had been doing with 100 players, 64
I'm wondering if he just made or actually bought a physical server instead of just using space somewhere else for this one.
Or seemed to be the breaking point for significantly impacting players' client-side frame rate, and 24 versus 40 was exactly that, so it seemed to be the obvious number to try. But regardless, in our special case, hitting that newly raised limit of 100 with something like 24 versus 70 is not a great idea, even though it is technically possible, simply due to that one remaining sticking point.
The object limit. Because if he goes all the way, then it crashes on him and it probably crashed the server.
That had been giving us grief from the very beginning.
Yeah.
The object limit, the final boss's second phase, with the doubled numbers
Is there
of
any way to
players
get
and
around
bots,
that?
A typical
Like
match
even
on an
adjust
average
the
size map like
game
Badwater now
itself?
hovered around 1,500 objects when it was a much more manageable amount before. And on larger maps, especially Gold Rush, Hoodoo, Thunder Mountain, and Egypt, it was pretty much guaranteed that a full server would eventually just straight up crash if anyone did anything even remotely.
Yeah, you can see they all just froze up. The moment it crashes, you're automatically aware of that.
Impactful. The plugin that we had relied on before to clean up objects when it was getting too dicey was pretty much just always in effect at this point, and it just could not prevent crashing from large spikes. So I asked Shunik, who had given me so much hope that this would work after seeing him get almost double the amount of people to play on his servers without crashing. I asked him, what do I do? And basically his response was this. Strippers! Okay, a stripper is in fact not those guys from Magic Mike. It's actually just a server config file that can say, don't load this list of map elements. So the idea is to go through a map and strip away all of the objects that are not essential to the functionality.
So you're basically getting rid of the extra objects that make it look prettier when there's less people. It's basically getting rid of all the extra fluff that makes it look nice.
Of said map. Because there are a pretty good amount of objects that a map loads that are basically only visual, such as wires or small.
Oh, because everything here is a 3D one. They're not using window or light boxes, and they're 3D objects, so they're not just painted onto the walls as texture either.
Light.
Yeah.
And like a bro, Shunik literally gave me his stripper config that covers pretty much every map element that is always going.
I mean, you know, guys are fun when they share their strippers with you. You know, in any other context, that would sound way worse. Wait, my wife is going to be able to hear this in just another context. So she just heard me talk about sharing strippers. I have made a mistake.
to be unnecessary to load. Pretty much right away, this solved about 90% of the issues that we were having hitting the object limit. I say 90% because there were still a handful of problematic maps like Gold Rush and Thunder Mountain. These remaining sticking points needed specific stripper configs in order to work, which would have entailed going into that map file and finding specific elements that are not required for that specific map to function and adding it to that list, something that I didn't have the skill set to do myself, nor my coding teammates the patience to learn how to do effectively. Shunik didn't need specific strippers for certain maps because he had solved a lot of his object limit problems by just disabling cosmetics entirely and relying heavily on the object deleting plugin, something that...
But he needs the base plugins, not the plugins, but like the base cosmetics for his Dane as the enemy. I guess you could just disable it for the players alone, but...
I was definitely not going to resort to for 1,000 Uncles. But it was around this time when I was trying to figure out who out there may have already made specific stripper configs for large maps that I suddenly had a realization that for the past year, I had never actually bothered to see if there were any other server owners out there who had recreated Nemu's Engineer Fortress. I mean, Nemu's was a relatively popular server back in the day.
Someone might have actually figured it out already.
To assume that I was the only one who remembers and missed playing Engineer Fortress and had the resources necessary.
Is there like an entire
to
community of them at this point?
So I just looked it up, and there it was. Bangers, Engineer Fortress, apparently created a little over 1 month after Nemus went offline. Honestly, I was kind of embarrassed. I had been building this thing from scratch through trial and error, thinking that I was resurrecting some ancient artifact of TF2 history, when it's been right here this whole time. Now, to be fair, upon further inspection, Bangers, with a Z, is about as much of a recreation of Nemu's Engineer Fortress as 1,000 Uncles is, and I would say that they are both inspired by it rather than faithful recreations. And I would call Bangers an advanced Engineer Fortress server. It has hundreds of custom maps, multiple custom difficulties that players can vote for, and is populated by a regular group that I would call experts at destroying large groups of engineers.
So it's not even that if Uncle Dane is more the casual because it has one set. This one is like, okay, these are the bots you can beat easily. These are the ones who will absolutely terrify you. Yeah, that makes sense.
Efficiently as possible. It's fair to say, though, that this is a community of some of the last remaining Engineer Fortress superfans. A good number of Nemu's alumni still play here as well, including the creator and owner of Bangers, Dynamo. So I reached out to him and asked him if he had any strippers for the specific group of maps that we were still crashing on. Not only...
Every time, man, it's going to... Every time. I'm 5 years old. I have a 5 years old humor. I know this. I'm aware of this. It's not going to get any better.
Only did he give me pretty much every remaining stripper config I needed and then some, he has since been a great help in expanding the map pool for 1,000 Uncles, because I didn't even mention this before, but since the very beginning, there was always a pretty large selection of payload and attack defend maps that simply didn't work because the Uncles just straight up refused to walk out of spawn. This is because TF bots are actually very stupid. So stupid, in fact, that they literally don't know how to walk unless there is a nav mesh telling them where to go. Remember when I talked about that one thing that one time and used nav meshes to measure the playable space of every map? Well, those actually have an intended purpose, and that is to basically map out exactly where the bots are allowed to move to, as well.
Because they're not actually AI, they're not actually players, they're just going with pre-programmed areas they're allowed to move into. It's why you don't see any of them trying to jump over a wall.
Let's give them information regarding where would be an effective place to build sentry guns, like near capture points, for example. But some maps, for whatever reason, don't provide a nav mesh by default, and I was under the impression that there was nothing that I could do about it, until Dynamo came along and told me that no, you can easily do something about it, you idiot. You can just manually generate a nav mesh using the game's console and then upload.
Also, yeah, I'm aware of the Halo soundtrack in the background. It's a good beat.
Load that nav file to the server that is running the map, and it will work perfectly fine. Here, take all of the nav meshes I currently use for my servers. Awesome. A combination of adding all of the missing nav meshes and implementing both a universal stripper config from Shunik and the custom-made ones from Dynamilk expanded the available map pool from this to this. So shout out to Shunik for doing a lot of the groundwork on
2,048 limit. I got 100 players, TF2 server running perfectly smooth. How many bombs did... Oh, he put up all the bombs.
making the large player count servers function, and shout out to Dynamilk and Bangers for helping me with the rest of the issues, because it basically got me over the finish line to finally considering my version of Engineer Fortress feature complete and ready to
how crazy did he
launch.
make
The links
this?
to all of their stuff is going to be in the description. Now, I want to make it clear that I am compressing the shit out of this timeline by about a year here. This mode was in a state of limbo for much more time than it was being actively worked on, because around the time that Valve had said that TF2 was going to be upgraded to 64-bit, there were leaks and whispers that not far behind that change was going to be an increase to the object limit as well. I had heard around the water cooler that it's supposed to be a pretty hefty increase as well, something like going from 2048 all the way up to 16,000.
Considering he's bringing this up right now, I'm assuming it didn't work, because that would be absolutely insane, man.
I've heard, I mean, if that's true, that would have essentially have solved all of the problems that we had with crashing.
But also, if he can get all the problems solved now and then have an object limit increase, could he put even more people in
Overnight. So
would you be able to do 500 on 500? Because I mean, that's stupid. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely dumb. You should make it 200 versus 700.
spent basically all of this entire year
It's just
waiting
all
for this
DACA.
mythical object limit increase update to happen before I finalized 1,000 Uncles and made a video about it.
But
unfortunately, it
never
seems
happened.
that this update is taking a lot longer than I would have hoped. It's almost like it's being worked on by Valve or something. And at the end of the day, it's not even really guaranteed that it's
Yeah, I got that. It's the entire Valve can't count to 3 joke. Yeah, Half-Life 3, it's definitely coming! With the new Valve console, the Gabe box. Gaben box. Steam box, whatever you call it. There's no other name for it. That would be dumb.
going to happen in the first place. So that's why this video is coming out now instead of much sooner. But maybe this extra time to let it cook had been a blessing in disguise, because in the meantime, we've done pretty much everything we can do to reduce the object count without compromising the enjoyment of players, including getting rid of building gibs and dropped weapons and ammo, yet keeping the player ragdolls enabled because it's worth those extra few entities to see a funny ragdoll, as I'm sure you would agree.
Wrong button.
Maybe right after this video comes out, it will be just my luck that they finally increased the object limit and I will be able to finally try something.
Actually, I'm just going to double check that. Did they do that in the first one? Nope. Pro tip, lower your game volume. Yeah. And John Fields is the first one going, the bot crisis will never come to Uncle Topia. Uncle Dane. Meh. Yeah.
Crazy like 24 versus 70 or something, but we'll see. Also during this time though, I actually reached out to Jill and asked him about Nemu.
Oh!
Yeah, I had completely forgotten up until I was talking to Dynamilk about him that I had added Jill on Steam way back in 2017 after I met him when I visited Valve. I'd barely spoken to him since, but I decided to see if he'd be willing to answer questions about Engineer Fortress and...
Yeah, can you imagine if you completely forgot about things on Steam? I mean, that'd be really embarrassing if you had a Steam account and you forgot it existed. Yeah, very embarrassing. Never done that myself.
Nemus, and to my honest shock, he responded. Turns out my guess that Jill not only created Nemus, but created the Engineer Fortress plugin himself was true. So Engineer Fortress, if you think about it, is kind of like a semi-official game mode since it was originally created by a TF2 developer. I mean, he wasn't working at Valve when he developed it, but still, I still think that counts.
Yeah,
Jill also confirmed to me that his experience working on Engineer Fortress and other plugins that he had developed for his servers was a contributing factor to him securing his job at Valve working on TF2 itself.
So it actually was part
I
of it.
think is pretty awesome. I also asked him why Nemu's shut
Wait, I want to read that quote again.
working on TF2
And was the reason I was even interested in interviewing in the first place.
itself,
Oh my
which
God.
I think is pretty awesome. I also
That's
asked
awesome.
him why Nemu's shut down, something that its old player base never got
Yes.
to know. And he told me that it was just because it waned in popularity over the
Ultimately went offline because the group of us that ran it and played daily were getting more sporadic without a few dedicated folks filling up the server every single night, hosting events, etc. It got emptier over the years. Eventually, it was offline for a few months due to server shenanigans, and that put the nail in the coffin of having enough players to fill nightly. Okay, so that's actually a lot easier than I thought. I thought, sudden change, maybe an NDA is involved after they got employed and someone found out. But apparently, no, it wasn't sudden in the slightest. It was a slow, creeping death, or just was less popular. So it's like, you know what? We're good. That makes a lot more sense because I got the impression that this was very much a sudden, it was so popular, and that gone. No, apparently it was just waning in popularity because people did other things. That makes sense. This actually makes a lot of sense even.
years, which gave him less and less of a justification to maintain it. Now, according to the people who played on the servers when it was up, it seems like they don't really agree that it was too unpopular to maintain, but that's just what was said, and I didn't want to press the issue further.
And it also could be that having a full match versus a few people not noticing that some of the people on your team might also be bots could be a thing.
Knowing that Jill has long since moved on to work on projects other than TF2 at Valve, it wouldn't surprise me that the underlying reason for Nemu's abrupt shutdown was just not being interested in maintaining a more than decade-old TF2 server when your
also
current
paid
interests
for it.
are not TF2. That being said, as could be stated about all TF2 devs, communication to the players would have been greatly appreciated.
Yeah,
But on the bright
devs
side, waiting
communicating.
on
That's
Valve
funny.
has made popping into 1000 Uncles very fun for me, since the servers eventually generated a pretty solid group of regulars, as well as randoms who have no idea what they've stumbled into. It's been
That would
super
be me.
fun to watch
No
people
idea.
play 1000 Uncles for the first time, whether it be the people who join off of the server browser out of curiosity, or fellow TF2 content creators that I've shown it to on a whim.
What is happening?
I'm gonna make you guys fight 40 of me.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, okay. We can have tellies and spawn.
Mode in a competitive format.
Yeah, I'm already brainstorming my roster. We're doing it, lads. We're doing it.
I don't think you're doing it.
My god, there's just a sea of Uncle Danes.
Dude, it never ends. It never ends.
When it rains,
just
it pours, and it's
always
definitely
working.
pouring right now. It's actually infectious seeing all these guys losing their shit over all the Danes. I kind of love this, man. Oh, dude. It almost feels like Heavy doesn't have enough bullets to take down people right in front of him. I wonder if Heavy is actually one of the guys they don't use except for a push, because he can still bullet sponge if he's invincible. Actually, at that point, anyone could. Banana.
Is this him? It's him! Thank you. Thank you. All right, now we can win. Now.
Also, I'm being asked by Croc if I'm taking people there during the subathon. Probably not, if only because with my connection issues, yeah. Comcast is a thing.
Now we can win.
Come on!
Go, 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 go!
I'm on it.
Yeah.
Come on! Ooh, I'm dead.
I'm supporting from the back line.
Supporting!
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Dude, look at his health just falling off. Oh, God. But they won? Oh, dear God. Okay, Jazz, what the hell, man? Okay, one, thank you, but that's a lot. You don't have to do that, man. Also, Name the Noodle has released their second vintage story lore. Oh, I've actually been wanting to check this out for a while now. Looking more specific stories and lore found in-game rather than main storyline. You have 2 videos to check out. Thank you very much for Merry Christmas. Thank you very much, man. But seriously, you don't need to do that much. This is actually someone I've been looking into for a while, because the vintage story lore has been something I really want to see. Also, David, have you seen the Psyche Mormons video? Can't say I've seen that one. I don't actually know. But literally, I have heard about Nettie the Noodle for a while. That one I've been told about repeatedly, and I do want to do it. I just haven't had a chance. There's just so many things I want to get to first. Thank you very much. But if that's too much, feel free to refund that. I do not mind. Like, not in the slightest. That's it. I will just copy and paste this right now so I don't forget it. Okay, there we go. Dude, that would actually be pretty cool. Maybe we could check that out too.
Too fun. Why is it so fun?
After this, I'm not gonna say the word uncle for like 3 days at least.
Oh, I'm not going to say it. 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 Yeah, just don't call uncle. Yeah, that's definitely the joke. I'm not saying it. Nothing else that could in any way, shape, or form sound horrible. Mm-hmm.
Now, one of my favorite things
I have
about 1000 Uncles,
restrained.
hands
I'm not going to
down,
make
is
that
how
joke.
specific the metagame is in order to effectively part the Red Sea of Uncles.
There's actually a
Oftentimes,
metagame?
there are certain
Or is it a
weapons that
metagame?
see limited use in casual mode that are must picks in 1000
Like
Uncles.
what?
I want you guys to eventually play it and discover some of these things yourselves.
Oh, he's not
but
gonna
I will
spoil it,
briefly
damn it.
talk about each class here and what kind of things
Oh?
that they can do and what unlockable weapons they can use that are fun and effective. Starting from what I think are the most powerful classes
Demo
to
man?
the least powerful in 1000 Uncles, we start, of course, starts with the Demo Man. Being the engineer's hard counter, it's no shock to know that the secret to beating this mode quickly is to have like 4 or 5 Demo Men on your team. But it's not all about spamming pipes, because the uncles can pretty easily out-heal direct pipes hitting their sentries. So it's actually just all about sticky bombs. And since sticky spam is largely ineffective, the Scottish resistance is pretty much a straight upgrade here. In general though, this mode is pretty good practice for getting your angles down on Demo Man, which is better.
They get to do explosive spam. Sorry, this is literally decades ago, back when I had a PS2 that worked because it didn't fall out of the cloth a few times. Yeah, don't ask. It was a very embarrassing story. But I would play Resistance 3 just Resistance so many times. And one of the game modes was, hey, we're going to put 50 people on both sides, remove all cooldowns, remove all timers, and everyone can stand right next to the respawn points for infinite ammo. And since your entire grenade throwing angle arc was absolutely broken, you could just go in there, stand next to the ammo respawn, and infinitely throw grenades like an artillery piece across the entire map, because the game did not account for physics well. So you can literally just go in and artillery brigade your entire enemy's back line. And it was glorious. But if they ever got past, you had to reorient. So you needed people to run forward to find where for the artillery to go at. So you're just waiting for the allies' tags visible through all the scenery to disappear so you know where to start throwing grenades. If that's what this is happening here, I love this, man. Oh, dude.
Bad news for me when I play regular TF2.
We need to all put stickies down and then count to 3 and then right click. Yes.
The second most powerful class in 1000 Uncles is, believe it or not, the Engineer.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not that surprising if you play a lot of MVM where it's practically required to have an Engineer just for the dispenser, but in the case of 1000 Uncles, it's not much different. Dispensers and
because teleporters to get back to the fight, because even though they don't get teleporters, they probably just run forward, but they're immediate respawn gets over a lot of bullshit. There's so many of them. But you're going to need ammo because you're going to be using all of it.
Teleporters are essential to maintaining a foothold on the front lines, especially with just how much ammo your team expends. Sometimes to the point where in order to be able to push a point, a dispenser needs to be literally up a pair of heavies' butts. But your own sentry gun is also one of the best ways to prevent uncles from retaking an area after their hold goes down. Oftentimes you will be this.
Sorry about that. Still getting over a cold.
Player holding back the masses as your team is able to push the objective. The Wrangler is also very good at clearing out nests at a distance.
Oh, because you can control it and shoot long range.
Guaranteed way to clear out an area, in fact. But unfortunately, if you're a shotgun lover like me, there is practically no use for it.
Because it's not enough bullets, not enough damage.
Is pretty much the only thing worth using. Soldier is next, and you'd think it's because he has the direct hit, but actually, I think the DH is a bit of a new trap in this mode because, well, the uncles can just out-heal it with their super fast wrenches. In reality, though, splash damage is king. The uncle,
because even if they can out-heal it, they can only heal one at a time. So if they're healing one, everything else around it still takes damage. So they have to give up all other actions and continually just heal their own turret, which locks them down pretty thoroughly.
Tend to all build in the same kind of areas, so you can get a lot of mileage from just spamming a clip of rockets in their general direction and knocking them out of their turtling positions. I'd say that pretty much every primary unlock the soldier has access to is either fun or effective. Even the Cow Mangler, which you'd think would be useless against so many buildings, but that charge shot can actually come in pretty clutch, surprisingly. But the real power that the soldier has, in my opinion, are his banners, which he can't charge over the buildings, but there are so many uncles running around that it's not hard to get it charged anyway. And as a result, you can have a constant rotation of 3 or 4 soldiers just blowing their battalions in buff banners, and it's incredibly useful for pushing in. Spy's up next, and despite him being the only class that can easily approach the uncles and kill them without getting demolished, he's only 4th on this list because he's still, at the core of it, a single target class that is being pitted up against 40 enemies all at once.
You know, if you want to play Spy, your Eternal Reward might actually be good here.
Unsurprisingly, your Eternal Reward is literally the only knife you can use, since undisguising near a dozen sentry guns is a pretty bad idea.
Oh no!
But he added the bots, so if enough of them start dying, they'll start looking around. But that also means a bunch of people are going to start, or sorry, a bunch of enemies are going to be looking at this guy instead. Okay.
The one one stab miss and it's over.
But in general, Spy is the most effective when he stays away from the large groups and
takes out the
focuses
sides
on
he's trying
taking
to build out.
smaller outcroppings that are giving the team trouble due to a weird angle. Against 4 or 5 of them in an isolated
Did
area,
Scout
Spy
even
is
do
very
anything?
good. But against a horde of a dozen or more of them, not so much. They will bump into you, they will notice you stabbing them, and they will all open fire on you at the same time. Medic. Normally, the most powerful class in vanilla TF2 simply because of the ability to uber charge, but on a map full of sentry guns that have so much knockback that you get flung into space upon approach, it's not nearly as overpowered here.
Oh, I'm not going to survive the end of this.
Oh, there's still knockback when you're being healed. I thought that would get over that. Oh, yeah, no, that would be much harder to get around. That is a lot.
The medic just being able to wipe away the damage that your teammates take from peeking around the corner for half a second makes him super valuable to have around. Kritzkrieg can be good with a demo man stickies to guarantee
I don't know nearly
the kill
enough about
on a
him,
large
so.
nest for sure, but the sleeper MVP of Medic's kit by far in this mode is the Amputator, a weapon that sees practically no play in vanilla TF2, but here outputs such an absurd amount of healing that you can easily farm assist by just sitting there spamming.
So here's the thing. I don't know anything about playing the medic, so I have no idea what he just said. There's a lot of classes I know a little bit about because they came up in other classes and other videos. I don't know how to play healer in the slides. I don't know anything about medic. I know he has the overcharge, and I've never seen anything other than that.
I mean, the taunt button. Heavy is pretty good, although he gets caught out by peeking nests that he can't possibly outdamage, so the Brass Beast is generally his best primary here, in my opinion. He's not nearly as adept at clearing out existing nests as the Demo Man or even Spy, but what Heavy really excels at is basically being the bouncer, putting his hand on the uncle's chests as they run in trying to build a new sentry gun.
Clears them out before they can really build up.
Something that the Engineer also excels at, but the Heavy is able to do it pretty much instantly while the Engineer has to move his gear up and wait for it to redeploy. So that makes Heavy a really good pre-NG Uncle suppressor while the NG's move.
So in other words, the Engineer is building up. He can take down and do stuff. But the Heavy is there to make sure they can't build out into new locations and flank you just by sheer osmosis of, hey, we have room over here. Let's shoot him from this side. Okay.
Move in so they can.
Also, I'm being told by Augustus the Amputator provides AoE healing while taunting, which is busted because Med doesn't have any other source of AoE heals. And if you need that many people healed, if you have a couple medics AoE healing, it might be enough.
Hold it down permanently. All right, Pyro, to nobody's surprise, is kind of near the bottom, mostly because even with an Uber charge, only 1 or 2 sentry guns can completely stuff them. Now, in specific instances where
if
there
you could turn
are
off
no
knockback,
sentry guns
maybe,
built
but
somehow, a Flog Uber can sometimes go absolutely insane, but pretty much any power class can excel in that situation. I've seen some people use the Dragon's Fury, though, to middling success, since it can penetrate buildings and kill the uncles that are hiding behind the wall of sentries. But I think the sleeper pick here is the Scorch Shot, which doesn't really get kills as much as it just completely disrupts the shit out of the TF bot AI. Not only does it knock them around like a pinball, but when a bot is on fire,
it forces them to move away, so they have to reroute.
they are coded to sometimes try and find a health source. If there are no dispensers nearby, that means that it'll leave
abandon
the
the
sentry gun for
field
a while to recover, leaving your team open to take out the gun. This is one of the most effective ways to unchain an uncle from their turtle mode lifestyle, and in my opinion, it's super underrated, even though from a fragging perspective, it is kind of
less
underwhelming
effective,
and it's
but
not really
more
that much fun
team-based.
as other classes can be.
Okay.
Sniper is only second to last on this list because it's entirely dependent on the map. Some maps allow for him to set up and just snipe away, ideally with the Bizarre Bargain or the Hitman's Heatmaker, but a lot of the time, killing a single uncle every few seconds when he's just going to come back by the time you take care of the buildings
you need
you
mass
left behind
amounts of
is not
damage to
super
it.
effective. However, I will say that it is still pretty fun. Here's a clip where a Spy body blocked a bunch of them inside of spawn, allowing me to get a crazy Machina collateral on them. Also,
wait, he just stood at the edge and they just couldn't run past him?
Here. Yeah.
Oh my
is definitely
God.
a class that you have the option of selecting if you want to. But
Dear
yeah,
God,
Scout
that's
is dead
insane.
last on this list because honestly, he's kind of useless in this mode. I mean, if you think about it, they had to give Scout an entirely new class role of money getter in MVM for him to be worth picking in that mode. But that is not the case here.
Oh.
Bunk is something I've seen a lot of people.
I haven't played MVM, so I just don't know enough about it. Also, Peter, you mentioned, Terran, Medi guns, I'm assuming you meant miniguns, have their own version of Uber Charge. Second is either syringe guns healing or Crusader's crossbow. Some melee useful abilities. Amputator has the AoE healing taunt. Oh. Yeah, that makes sense. So there's a lot of other options I'm just not aware
People
about because
tried,
I'm not
but
playing the
it's
game
sometimes
enough.
hard to tell exactly how useful something like that actually is.
I can't even tell if bonking helps in any way, but it takes less
Can you
brain
like
cells.
bonk and you've dedicated yourself to this bonk theory for longer than anyone I've ever seen.
After
hasn't died
a year
yet.
and
Oh,
a
there he
half
goes.
of working on this side project on and off, we finally
That's so
were able
many
to
turrets.
slap the 1.0 sticker on it and updated it to the version that you'll be able to play right now. But only after I'm making a few more final changes to optimize the balancing. The main ones to mention here are that they don't build teleporters anymore. Since they hardly ever used them, they often got stuck on them, and they contributed to the overall object count for basically...
So they built it, they never turned them on, they never used them, and they took up all... Yeah, which actually makes them harder to fight against.
No value at all. We also figured out how to get rid of spy back capping because, well, back capping is just no fun. It just goes against the spirit of 1000 Uncles, so you can't cap a spy for 20 seconds after another point has been capped. Sorry, not sorry. Oh, and I've been experimenting with trying Halloween maps out lately. The ones that stand out so far as being actually pretty fun are Iadept and Ghost Fort. These maps, however, are often a complete toss-up between the Uncles getting trapped in spawn after the truce allows Blue to easily set up a spawn camp, or the entire Blue team getting completely rolled by Marasmus.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, and just so you guys know, by the way, strange weapons...
What did I just watch?
On after the truce allows Blue to easily set up a spawn camp, or the entire Blue team getting completely rolled by Marasmus.
Okay. Yeah. That's a lot.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, and just so you guys know, by the way, strange weapons don't count kills against bots. So no, this is not a strange weapon farming server. However, strange cosmetics and some weapons do count points or times used or whatever. It basically works how it would work in man versus machine. Also, you can get achievements for playing on this server, and if you are a stickler for keeping your in-game stats...
Wait. Custom servers allow you to get achievements at all. I was under the impression unless you were doing certain modes, you wouldn't get it. This is probably me not even knowing what's going on, but I'm used to a lot of games whenever you do anything custom made, any unlockable is just not allowed. Granted, I'm also used to playing those types of games for companies that have a very, well, you can get it anytime you want as long as you pay us. So I guess maybe I'm just looking at the wrong companies for guidelines of what to do. And this is Valve, not anything else. So yeah.
1000 Uncles. I personally don't really care, but I thought.
Also, apparently, it was the evil wizard from the boss event.
Also, I feel like people have probably been thinking about this the entire video, but as the original Uncle Dane, I can join the red team whenever I want. In fact, Moonly made it so I am the only person who is allowed to do this.
Oh my god!
The command is tied to my Steam ID, and yes, I have used this ability for evil.
Oh, because we need more people on the right side.
Wait.
Oh, you fuck! God damn.
They realize there's a Dane in there. Who's a real Dane? Just fucking with them.
Yeah, it's 5 golden.
Everyone get back into blue spawn. There's
Where is he?
Okay, that's funny. Because you're in the one mode where you never expect anything but Danes. And the one Dane who is the most Dane is a spy. The engineer is a spy. Oh my god, I absolutely love that. That's so evil.
You can play 1000 Uncles
oh
right
my
now.
God.
We expanded the server count in both regions to try and accommodate for the large influx of players after this video, but I highly recommend that you check it out if you're looking for a good time in TF2 outside of casual mode. And if you find yourself playing on Uncletopia a lot, I would encourage you to consider subscribing to the Patreon because the servers, well, they cost a lot of money out of pocket to run, and I appreciate all the help I can get.
Yeah, and servers are not getting cheaper. Hell, when he did this a year ago, no, he made the video a year ago, he did the actual build-up for it a year before that. Oddly enough, if he had done it any earlier or any later, he might not have been able to do it because the prices were coming down from crypto at that time before jumping up on AI now.
since I don't really plan on ever polluting my servers with annoying in-game donator perks or advertisements. So if you want to
People
ensure
put ads in there?
stays up, the best thing
Oh,
that you
yeah,
can
I
do
guess,
is
yeah.
subscribe to the Patreon to support the servers directly. But yeah, that's it. I just wanted to say thanks for watching my video, first of all. Thank you for enduring the chaos and the madness.
I love
and listening to
insanity
my
like this.
ramblings.
This is
There are
absolutely the
still
best thing ever.
So many things that I never touched on in this video, like King of the Hill. That's a whole thing.
What?
That's like an entire other like subject. But once that object limit update drops, 1,000 Uncles may be expanded even further to the
Oh god, it might actually be 1,000 different players at some point. At some point, you're not playing a game, you're committing GPU bomb. Because if you start playing this mode and all the uncles load in, your GPU becomes a bomb. Oh my god! That's
point where a part 2 of this thing may be in order.
kind of
so we'll see.
awesome.
But yeah, I appreciate you guys. Thanks
Did the
for
object
watching,
limit
and
increase
I
go
will
through in the
talk to
year
you
since this
nieces
has
and
come out? Because I
nephews
didn't see the
next
comments
time.
about
Bye-bye.
that. Holy shit, man. That was so cool. I didn't actually mean to watch the entire video. I thought I'd break it up, but I got so into this, man. It was actually amazing. Oh. I love it when you have some kind of bullshit idea that you just run into and it's like, yeah, this is stupid. It's incredibly stupid. I'm doing it anyways. That is literally my favorite thing to do in any type of game. Not where you're being super good about it, but where you're just going to bash your head against the stupid so hard that it comes around and becomes awesome. It's why I like Gurren Lagann now that I think about it. You guys know the deal. Link below to the original video. Hit it up. See you guys in the next one. Adios.